everyone, Kate here for sort of to her on video. I did not do the March Louisa May 2020 video, which was on 8 Cousins. So I am here for a 8 Cousins and Rosenbloom video. And I'm really happy that I'm here and able to say that I read both of them because I don't want to be a killjoy with this video, but I have to say I'm not having as much fun with Louisa May 2020 as I was anticipating. And I think a big part of it is it hasn't felt like there's been a huge variety in the books that we've been reading. And I felt like there were quite a few parallels with Little Men and Jo's Boys, and or rather parallels between Little Men, 8 Cousins, and then Jo's Boys and Rosenbloom. I didn't feel like I was reading like terribly different books, and so I think I just feel kind of stagnant in the project. And I think that I'm realizing about myself as a reader that I kind of like a little bit more bite and sharpness in books than maybe these Louisa May Alcott books are offering. And I feel very like conflicted about that, because from reading her biography, you know, these books that she's writing are what were being requested by publishers. So I am really pleased that we have included in this year, you know, next month we're going to be reading Hospital Sketches. So that's some nonfiction that will really switch things up. And I do like the way that she conveys stories. So I'm really looking forward to having a change with that. And then also for A Long Fatal Love Chase then later on in our reading year. Because I think just having just a little bit more variety. So now I wish, you know, I had only read Little Women before. So I kind of wish maybe I had put more variety in the schedule and saved 8 Cousins and Rosenbloom for later on in the year. And I'm pretty sure Meghan said that work is a bit different. So like I said, I feel kind of bad. You know, I don't want to be a killjoy, but I just don't have much enthusiasm over these last books. They've been very much 3-star reads, which are fine. And I do think that Louisa May Alcott definitely has skill as a writer, but it's just that I love having variety in what I read. And so I would have spaced these out a lot more. So it's really thought-provoking to me and making me think about, you know, a project of reading an author's works over the course of a year, or some of their works. We aren't getting through quite all of her books. You know, not all authors have books that are really distinct or really different in flavor from each other. And so I think if you really like the formula, then it's going to work out great. You know, Mary Stuart, I loved her formula, a woman traveling alone, and then something suspicious happens. There's a little bit of romance in there, and something about it, I just didn't get tired of that formula. I was excited to read the book, you know, a book each month from her. But this, I kind of feel like, well, I've been there, done that. And it makes me really sad because I still am definitely continuing with this project, and I don't want to, I don't know, I don't want to like go up against or at all devalue the legacy of Louisa May Alcott's work, because I think they are important books and they're a really good window into this time frame and kind of what childhood was like for most American girls at this time. So I do think these books matter and these books are important. So I'm just not quite having as much fun as I thought I was going to be having. So 8 Cousins, I do love the notion of the plot where Rose, I mean, it's very sad how it starts out. She's left an orphan, and she is living with some aunts, and she's kind of withering away while she's there. So in comes Uncle Alec, and I loved the character of Uncle Alec because he is really good at, you know, kind of looking at Rose and saying, what can we do to make you thrive? And one of the very first things was taking off, it's not quite a corset because she wasn't, I don't think she was quite the age where they would start wearing corsets, but it's something very similar, this really restrictive belt on her breathing. And immediately, you know, she can take full breaths. So I just can't imagine being a girl in that era and not even being so constricted that you can't even take full breaths in the clothing that you're wearing. So I don't think I would be thriving if that was happening. And then in addition to that, he realizes maybe she shouldn't be taking so much caffeine, maybe that's something a little girl doesn't need to do. Or she's an older girl, but doesn't need caffeine, in her life at this point. So he just is really good at let's see what we can eliminate that is not enhancing the quality of your life, and just kind of being really straightforward. And so he's given this trial run with her over the course of a year, and he gets to prove whether he knows how to take care of her. Now, one of the things that I struggled with in 8 Cousins, well, a couple of the things, the first being that there are so many cousins, same thing with Little Men, that I felt it was really hard to get to know any of them and to kind of get to know their personality. And so I didn't get to the point where I really truly felt invested in the characters. And then the other aspect that I don't know, I felt kind of conflicted about was the friendship that Phoebe and Rose have, where to me it feels kind of like this patronizing relationship that they have, and just kind of, I feel like it's really awkward that Phoebe is her servant and that Rose considers them to be really good friends. I don't know, aren't you lucky that you get to be my servant? I don't know. And I know that I'm sure there were, people from that time period that were good friends with their servants. So I think maybe it's just my modern eyes reading that. And then Rose and Bloom, you get to see these characters when they're a bit older, and kind of the vices and virtues that you see in their personalities when they're children, and how that's played out on a very small scale. You get to see that played out on a larger scale. So I do think that's a very interesting concept, to see vices and virtues in personalities, or just the natural temperament of a child. My 2 sons, they're extremely different temperaments. And I think that, there is the nature versus nurture camp, but I do really agree that you are born with a certain temperament. And so you should try to be the best version of yourself that you can be, but you shouldn't also deny, this is my temperament. This is the way that I am. So what can I do to kind of hone it in and use it for good? I'm a very, for instance, I'm a very strong-willed person. Well, a lot of people that are really strong-willed end up being CEOs of companies, so there are definitely some positives there. But as a child, it can be a really hard thing. Whereas, also if you're someone who's kind of a people pleaser, that can be really tricky when you're an adult. You just can't please everyone. And so you just have to learn all these things as you come into adulthood. And so I did like that aspect of it, kind of the different boys and Rose figuring out kind of their space in the world. And there are some sad things that happen in this, and kind of seeing real consequences of maybe certain vices. And it's really sad. But I did enjoy Rose and Bloom. I think I ended up enjoying these about the same, gave them both about 3 stars. And another thing I've thought about is maybe these are ones that would have been better had I read them as a child for the first time. Kind of thinking that maybe I missed out on a possible favorite book because I didn't read it at the right age. Because I actually read 8 Cousins with my Victorian book club that I host. Obviously, we didn't get to meet in person this last time. We met via Zoom. But the one lady who enjoyed it the most was the one person who read 8 Cousins as a child. And so for her, it's coming back to these characters and getting to see them again. And so that just makes me certain, if I ever had a little girl, I would put these books in her hands when she was little, and so she could fall in love with them at the right age. So I hope I haven't, struck a nerve or, stepped on anyone's toes, because I don't want to just come on here to talk about how much I dislike these books. But I don't also want to put on this, fake video of I just adore these books so much. Even if it's a project that I'm hosting with Meghan, I don't want to, put up false reviews. So yes, enjoyed them, didn't love them, and looking forward to some variety next month with hospital sketches. Let me know what you thought of these 2 books. I am, didn't put up a March video, so I'm happy that I am getting up an April video. And I think I will leave it there. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. I am looking forward to reading some nonfiction from Louisa May Alcott, and I will be back for a video soon. Bye.